Mm. Ah. Hello. Oh, shoot. Dorian's. No. Stop. Chaza hot sauce. Anybody have any chaza hot sauce like I did for dinner? This, some good stuff right here. I just had some blackened grouper that I did not make, just in case anybody is wondering about my cooking skills tonight. Chaza hot sauce with blackened grouper from Waterman's Grill in Edenton. It's real good. Just put that on your docket. Raleigh Hot Sauce Company. Now I need to plug in my phone because my phone is about to die, as is your hair lotion. Well, maybe because I didn't blow dry it. I have no idea. We're, now is the phone charging? I hope the phone is charging. Let's make sure. Sorry I'm late. I'm always late. And again, I will say, like I always say, I'm late because my son Amos makes me late. Hold on, now let me see if I'm charging. Oh, I'm back. Hey, I've been waiting. Oh, good. I'm glad you've been waiting. Good things are worth waiting for. How is it over there? It is perfectly fine over here in the big city of Edenton, North Carolina. We have a little bit of light rain. And what else do we have? A little bit of light rain and breezy. Are you okay? Yes, I'm good. Oh, my nice supporter Jennifer checking on me. Yes, and I already did another live video today and a supporter video. That just tells you what my life is like during hurricanes. Look what happened though to me today. Do you see that red spot on my arm? Right there. I got stung by a darn yellow jacket. I went over to my friend's house this afternoon and was sitting on her porch. Holy cow, it hurts. Anyway, obviously, clearly a wuss. No, we're waiting for the hurricane. It looks like it's going to be terrible. And my cigarettes are going to get wet on the porch. I have to smoke during hurricanes. It's actually a North Carolina law. How are you guys? We're good. So it's going to be bad about 6 a.m. And I think the worst part of it are the tornadoes. Now, granted, this house was built in 1760. So I guess we can go down in the basement. But if I have to wake up Amos and take him in the basement, that is actually not on my agenda of fun things I want to do. No, it's not. So, you all might think I have some like revelation to share, but I really actually don't. Tricked you. No, I just had time today to think. I had 9 children here spending the night last night, and we had a movie today downtown. It was fun. What else did we do? We had French toast for dinner. I had a glass of wine with a friend. Speak up, please. Well, I can't yell. I don't want to wake anybody up. Find a Ziploc bag. Okay. Well, I put tobacco all over it. So anyway, about every day I get some filing in the mail, and it's another, blah, 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 West Virginia filing. Because, I was served this past week by Miss Lester, Miss Dowdy, and Miss Urish. 3 teachers who you listen to the recording of them talking not so kindly to small children in their classroom nearly a year ago. I think it was about October 7th, right? Casey Murphy's watching. And so they sued me and served me. They had a person from Raleigh that showed up gangbusters in my yard and said, I'm looking for Miss Wood. And I said, you just missed her. Miss Wood has gone to yoga. And that person was like, no, you're Adrian Wood. I said, well, yes, I am Adrian Wood. Thank goodness you married an attorney, an alleged attorney. Don't forget about that. The drunken debutante's alleged attorney. And so we've hired an attorney. We are looking at the case. We're looking at the other rebuttals for the case. And anyway, I was sitting around with all these children, and then tonight, Amos, my littlest one, who's 5, hey, good evening, Linda. We are getting ready to go to bed, and my friend Julie Rader calls. Now, I don't know if anybody knows Julie Rader, but she is my friend. Now, Julie lives in Berkeley County, and 4 children, and her youngest daughter, Emma, died. It's been a few years ago now. And she actually was in that same classroom where the abuse was recorded the next year. Julie and I have gotten to be friends. So when I went to Berkeley County and stood up and spoke at a school board meeting, after I spoke, lots of people talked, but this one mom stood up behind me, and she didn't speak up at the front of the room at the podium. She spoke where she was standing, and she was surrounded by her friends. And she stood up, and you could see like the wheels turning in her mind, and she said, my daughter Emma was in that classroom, and my daughter Emma died, and her daughter Emma had suffered a broken hip, which at the time they just thought, I don't know what happened, and she's died. And that night at the board meeting, it occurred to her, how did Emma get a broken hip? And so when I was first served, let's just go back a little bit, I was quiet this summer because I was trying to not get served in the lawsuit, because who has, I think, $60,000 to defend themselves? Not me. And so I was trying to be quiet. And then I got served. And so I sort of made this decision the other day. I was like, you know what? Being quiet is not my deal. And I always have promised to tell the truth. And so I will tell the truth. And now that I've been served and I'm officially named in the lawsuit, and I'm going to have to, borrow money to defend myself, then I am going to talk. And anyway, tonight I was putting Amos to bed. And I said, I'm going to go downstairs. And he said, no, Mommy's bed. He wants me to lay down with him in the bed. This is a little boy who knows every flag in the world. He can read anything you put in front of him. But he can't say, Mom, will you lay down with me before I go to sleep? He says, no, Mommy's bed, which means, Mommy, I want you to lay down with me before you go to sleep. So I understand nonverbal. So even though he speaks, is he verbal in a way that he can communicate well? No. If someone hurt Amos, could he tell me? No. And that's exactly what happened with Amber Pack and her daughter Adri. She had taken her to a psychologist, to a doctor. She was so unhappy. And I'm that mom, right? If something were wrong with Amos, how would I know? I wouldn't know. And so she goes to the pediatrician, and she said, I'm thinking about putting a recording device in her hair. And the pediatrician said, I think that'd be a good idea. And so she did. And when she got home that night, she listened to the recording. And I can't imagine there was probably anything worse than doing that. And it's an 8-hour recording. 8-hour recording. And the other day, Casey Murphy, whose son Owen was also in that class, her lawyer and I were talking, and he said, have you listened to the whole recording? And I said, no, I haven't. I've never even had the whole thing. I've had snippets of it. I've listened to snippets. I've read the whole transcript. And he said, I just can't tell you how horrible it was to have to listen to that. It took about 32 hours to get through it. And I will say, from the few minutes that I have listened to, it's debilitating. And there are people in Berkeley County that don't like me. They want me to get my ass back to North Carolina and hang out here and mind my own business. They feel like it reflects poorly on them. This is not a reflection on Berkeley County. And I think that's really why it's so important to stand by these parents and these children, because this shouldn't be Berkeley County. You can't take one group of bad apples, including the school system, and make Berkeley County look bad to the world. Berkeley County deserves to be good. Now, in my county, Chowan County, we had a case long ago, before I even lived here, where there was a sex abuse scandal, and it was terrible. And I think Edenton was on the map. It was called the Little Rascals case. And nobody from Edenton wanted to be on the map for something that terrible, right? But at the end of the day, wouldn't Edenton want to be on the map for something good? And so I think Berkeley County has a real chance of getting things better and redeeming, or not even redeeming, because they didn't do anything wrong. They're good families in Berkeley County, way more good than bad. And they're good teachers in Berkeley County, a zillion more good than bad. And there are bad teachers everywhere. There are bad teachers in North Carolina. I mean, who are we going to pretend that there aren't? I told you I heard a recording that a mom sent me earlier this week that she recorded on her child and is afraid that she'll be sued if she shares it. I heard a teacher threaten to cut a child's tongue out in North Carolina last week. So it happens more than we like to think. But we don't want it to. And how do we stop that? And how do we make families say, we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to let this happen. So did your friend decide to try and find out more about her baby, Emma's hip? Yes, she did. Emma's hip was broken. It took several days to find out. Emma was very unhappy, crying. They didn't know why. After 15 x-rays, they realized her hip was broken. She went to school fine that morning. She came home that evening and was miserable. Something happened that day in the classroom. Emma was in a wheelchair. Do we know what happened? Is there a video of what happened? No, there's not. No, there's not. But I consider Julie a friend. And I know that Julie has a lot of thoughts. And not only is this a case, for me, it's a case. And these kids and their families are amazing. But I didn't lose a child in this deal. So just for her, think about how this all feels to watch this progress. So in August 16th, these 3 teachers were arrested for failure to report suspicion of abuse and neglect. 3 days later, their attorney submits a motion to stay. And so what he says is, we can't move forward with these cases because we have these other cases going on. Now, what's happened with all this is no one's been allowed to take a deposition. No evidence has been allowed to be gathered. And so it really feels like the attorney in the court system is just allowing this case to languish. The statute of limitations is up very soon to file criminal charges. In Berkeley County this week, a woman was arrested for the mistreatment of puppies. I love a puppy. I love a dog. But we have 3 teachers who we all have heard on a recording speaking to children like they are rabid dogs. And they haven't been arrested. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And we shouldn't let it make sense. There was one negative comment today, which is interesting because there really are very few related to this. But this person said the parent had no right to put that recording in her daughter's hair. I absolutely disagree. And I disagree as a special needs mother and according to law. When a state is a one-party state, that means both parties do not have to know they're being recorded. If it were a 2-party state, you wouldn't have a right, period. But when it's a one-party state, you do. West Virginia is a little behind the times. North Carolina has already said in its law that a parent can consent for a child. And West Virginia has not done that. Will they at the end of this? Yes, they will. Yes, they will. There is no question that they would not. Because if you were to say that a parent could not consent for a nonverbal child, or in that matter, a nonverbal adult, you really are taking away all the power of a person to protect a person, which is the ultimate point of our law. So anyway, that's that. I haven't heard any. I'm a 62-year-old supporter who can't hear you. Oh, I hate that you can't hear me, Jennifer. Maybe your volume's down on your phone. I am talking loud. Anyway, it's just, we just can't have things like this. And I will speak up. And every time I'm going to get one of these recordings or one of these documents in the mail, I'm going to tell you about it. And I'm going to ask you if you want to become a supporter. I will ask you to become a supporter because your supporter scenario does help me. Those people pay $5 a month. We shoot the shit. It's actually more fun. It's not totally serious. So anyway, that's helpful to me. And we can make the world better. And we can say to these moms, hey, we got your back. We got your back. And we do. I am thankful that my son is in a classroom where I never once worry about his safety or love or attention that he's getting. And I'm so thankful for that. But do I want that to happen for everybody? Yes, I do. And right now, in Berkeley County, the school year has started. There has been no change. No change. So you have a school system that tried to destroy evidence. You have a school system with a deputy superintendent that was allowed to retire that told a principal, destroy the recording. You have a superintendent that was allowed to retire and walk off with 20-something thousand a month in retirement. You have a school system that heard those recordings and did nothing. Left children in a classroom, and only when Amber Pack shared the recordings on Facebook, after going about it the right way, I will say, they let the teachers go on paid leave. That same school system is serving thousands of children right this minute. Don't we need to say to that school system, Houston, we got a problem. You're not going to do that anymore. We're going to talk to you about the rules, and we're going to talk to you about safety. And wouldn't it be great to say to teachers in the school system, yeah, it is legal to record. And so every minute you need to be aware that you might be being recorded by children. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So there's way more at stake than just these recordings and should she have been allowed to do it? There's all this other stuff in the school system that really is equally scary, I think. It's really scary. I can't imagine living somewhere and thinking not only might my children be abused by a teacher, but that my school system would cover it up. It's crazy. Totally crazy. So anyway, that's all I got. Now, I'm going to be on hurricane watch the rest of the day. This weekend, we're going to be working on our rebuttal to the case. Fortunately, I am married to an attorney, and he works for me for free. Well, free might be a stretch, but free-ish. I do have to fix dinner now and then and take care of his 4 children. And we're going to work on our case for that, and that's it. That's all we're going to do. Do I wish that I didn't have to deal with this? Do I wish that I weren't talking to you? Yes, I do. Is it worth it? Yes, it is. It is worth it. Why hasn't it? How can this get national news coverage? So I've just written a story today that will be out tomorrow, and I'll share it on a pretty major website. And so I'm going to do a little bit of work of getting my story out of how a mom blogger ends up getting sued by abusive teachers, because I think that really is a story. I think CNN and People picked up when they got arrested. So I think people are watching, but there's sort of this fear of like, well, what, they might come sue us too if we talk about it. So anyway, you just can't live by fear like that. So anyway. Yes, on this week, on Thursday night, I'm going to be in Aberdeen, which is Pinehurst, speaking. And I'm really excited about that. And on Tuesday night, I'm going to be in Raleigh at Frank Daniels' house, and for a party for Jen Magrum, who I'm supporting for superintendent. And I'm bringing a secret guest and my mom. Yes, Jennifer sent Amos some international flag toys. Oh my God, he loves that puzzle. Yes, we need to sell some more t-shirts. This is like my favorite t-shirt of all times. This is from Heritage Farms General Store in Goldsboro, North Carolina. My friend Esther owns it and mailed me this t-shirt, which I wear all the time and love, because I'm proud of my state, just like people are proud of West Virginia, and you should be proud. You should be. You want to live somewhere where you think, you know what, we're doing the right thing. I feel like that where I live. Now, granted, I don't with education when it comes to North Carolina, but I do in my own little town. I just don't like the state superintendent. But we want more. We want more. The other day, I was reading a couple things, but I read this thing on Facebook out of Berkeley County, and it was written by a bus driver. And the bus driver had spoken at the last school board meeting, maybe that was this week. And he or she said the bus drivers were all just trained on how to give this medicine if a child has a seizure. And if the child has a seizure, you're supposed to move the child to the back of the bus. And the bus driver, whose sister was like a nurse, was like, you never move someone when they're having a seizure. Where will you be in Aberdeen? Look on my page, Lori. It's right on there. I've shared it. And I was like, you know what? Here we have a bus driver who's speaking up and saying, no, that's wrong. Why are you telling us to do this? That is wrong. So good. Good. Let's encourage people to speak up and talk. Now, I will say, one thing that is listed in that lawsuit, this is just a total, is that so it says defamation, I caused emotional distress, and that the teachers have had to stay in their houses with their blinds closed. Now, today when I was looking through my post, I saw a clear picture of Juniorish at a basketball game holding her granddaughter's hand. How was she at a basketball game if she was inside with the blinds closed? Then I shared, and then it said, I falsely accused her of parking in a handicap space. Let me just say, I did not falsely accuse her. I have a video that someone sent me of her car in the handicap space. Did I ask these people to send me a video? No. But do people in Berkeley County, Virginia, want good people? Yes, they do. They want somebody to say no. And so she's getting in a car. There's no handicap placard. There's no license plate that says handicap. And she's driving. Now somebody said, well, her husband's disabled. The law says if you park in a handicap space, you can't just have a handicapped person with you. You have to have the license plate or the placard or something in your dashboard. No, there was none of that. I have the video. Well, do you know what happened after that? Junior's husband, he calls the restaurant and says, I want the video from the parking lot. And the manager says, go F yourself. No, you can't have it. And you know how I found all that out? The waitress from the restaurant sent me a message. Do you know how awesome that is? To get a waitress from a restaurant to send you something? Was her husband with her? I think her husband was with her. It looked like two couples together, so I'm assuming it was her husband. But again, there was no placard. So maybe she should have been able to park there, but did not have the placard. Oh, somebody's asking about Emma's records. So the records were lost for a minute, and then they said they weren't lost. They said, well, actually, we hired someone, and this woman was making room, so she threw them out to make room in the file cabinets. Now, Bob Leslie, who is a real unspoken hero in all this, he is the lead prosecutor for Patrick Morrissey, the Attorney General, who really, if it weren't for Patrick Morrissey and Bob Leslie, these teachers would have never even been charged with this silly little misdemeanor of failure to report abuse. I mean, they have had to. When the Attorney General puts pressure on you in North Carolina, if the Attorney General told a DA to do something, the DA would do it. Why is Delgado not doing it? I have no idea. It's a concern. So, anyway. Shit, now y'all made me forget what I was going to say. The waitress, what was I saying? Crap. Kimmy says she's lost. Kimmy, am I lost? The money? The money. No, what was it? So much. Bob Leslie. So Bob Leslie is awesome. The records were lost. So Bob Leslie goes in and they do some sort of deposition I see the records for. And they interview the woman who the school system said she had thrown out Emma Rader's records. Well, do you know what she says? Under oath? I never threw out any records. That's interesting, isn't it? So it wasn't until Ben Salango, the attorney, started pushing. Oh, guess what? We found the records. It's a miracle. We had thrown them away, but now we found them. Now, let's look in the records. What's in the records? Is everything in the records? No. Not everything's in the records. One thing not in the records are the daily notes. The daily notes. But it's interesting, Emma's mother also kept daily notes, copies herself. So Berkeley County Schools produces notes, and Emma's mother already has notes. Do you think they match up? I'll just leave it at that. Carry on, people. So glad you're here. Want to become a supporter? Pay $5 a month. You won't regret it. Stay tuned for hurricane talks. My husband is available tomorrow morning for supporters. He's promised. I'll fix him a Bloody Mary before. Thank y'all for being here and appreciate your support. And stand strong. Hang out. Stay good. Berkeley County. Love some Berkeley County.